28 and I'm trying to shape history. Pulling from the sky for some strength to take with me. Line up the stars, fly away quickly and push the world forward like a tidal wave hit me. I ride the wave swiftly, I fear no man, check my titles mate quickly. Came from the sky with the light of day in me, and grew my own wings so the pilot came with me.
Okay, episode 21. Rosie, we made it, the big 2-1. We did just celebrate our 20th episode birthday. 21st is almost a more meaningful milestone. Like people celebrate their 21st. I'm bringing back the balloons. 21 also deserves balloons. We won't have the champagne. We had the champagne for the last episode. This episode, we do have the balloons. The balloons are back. Episode 21. Welcome. Today we answer a question from Scott B. Is this Facebook, Insta, Twitter? Facebook. Scotty B says, do you believe the government education system has an explicit motive to suppress creativity and ensure that generations that flow through the education system fit within a predetermined set of moulds and prevent those who are unique from nurturing their individuality earlier in life? Okay. Big question from Scotty B. Really big question. Do I believe they have an explicit motive to suppress creativity? I don't buy into the thinking that I think they have a motive to suppress creativity. I don't think that there's a government out there or some big bad people out there going, let's suppress creativity so everyone becomes a robot and goes and gets robotic jobs. I don't think that's what's happening. I think they do have internal DNA issues at a government level and at a systemic level around change and innovation and becoming more consumer-centric. This is something I've obviously studied a lot of because education's my game, right? So I've gone back to when education was invented, and it started out as, you know, mothers and fathers would teach sons and daughters, and then uncles and aunties would also teach sons and daughters. But then as families became tribes, became communities, became towns, became cities, they needed a way to structure and scale the transfer of knowledge, and hence education was born. Plato, which is obviously a really well-known philosopher, was the first person to create what we would call a curriculum-based education. And education used to be about to draw out from within, so to find an individual's strengths and weaknesses and passions, and to help them develop that from within. Somewhere along the line, the definition changed from transferring information from one person to the other, and that's where I think education got a bit lost, and I think it's been lost particularly for the last sort of 30 or 40 years. Our primary school, high school and higher education all over the world was built and designed in an industrial age where we wanted to prepare people to go into factories and work in the industrial age. It worked for that. And then even, going back 20 or 30 years ago, universities worked in terms of preparing people for the business world or for whatever world they're going in. What we've now seen is that the rate of change has become so fast and so substantial out in the real world that now traditional education institutions, in particular universities, are so large, and by virtue of their size and by virtue of their bureaucracy, are not able to move at the same pace as the rate of change out in the real world. So we used to see universities and schools leading the charge in terms of knowledge and thought leadership. There's been a role reversal in the last 10 to 15 years, in my view, where academia is lagging behind the real world, and the delta, the gap, is actually becoming larger. So higher education, I believe, in the first time in history, is open for disruption. And we will see education models change, and it won't happen quickly. It can't happen quickly. There's too much tradition. There's too much size. There's too much government involvement. There's a lot of reasons why it can't change quickly. But over the coming 5, 10, 20, 30 years, we think we will see an education model go from one that's based on conformity and everybody doing the same thing to one based on individualism. It was Einstein that said everybody is born a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll spend the rest of its life thinking it's an idiot. And I think that's the way that traditional education has been set up. A large part of what we're doing here at the Entourage is trying to bring the uniqueness and the customization and the individual's heart and soul and mind back into the education experience, so it returns to what it was originally meant to do, which is to draw out from within. So I don't think they have an explicit motive to suppress creativity and all that sort of stuff, maybe to a degree, but I don't think that's what's going on. I think what's going on is there's too much tradition, too many rules, too many regulations, and we're now in a world where the consumer's voice is the loudest voice, right? We survey a lot of students every single year, and every single year we get the same feedback, which is the consumers, particularly coming out of university, going into the business world, feel unprepared, they don't feel career ready, they don't feel they have the necessary skills. If there was any other business in the world where consumers were rating their business that they had just bought from out of 10, and that business continued to come out with a 3 out of 10, then that business would no longer be in business. So I think there is going to be large shifts. I think there is going to be big changes, and I think that changes are going to come from grassroots, right? Google's biggest threat is not Yahoo. Google's biggest threat is 2 guys in a garage with a bloody big idea. Innovation and true innovation and true disruption comes from the ground level. So disruption in education, like every other industry in the world, will come from upstarts, startups who want to ruthlessly innovate according to what the consumer wants. And ultimately, we as consumers will decide over the coming 10, 20 or 30 years how we believe education needs to be delivered. Really good question, Scotty V. A big one for episode 21, but I hope you guys enjoyed that. Comment in the comments below. If you went to university, how did you find that experience? If you didn't go to university, why didn't you go to university? But what do you think about the state of traditional education in the world? I get there's value. If you want to be an accountant, a doctor, a lawyer, you need the piece of paper, and traditional education does okay in those kind of fields. Okay, again, not fantastic. I get that it's great being part of a community when you go through university. I get there's a lot of benefits to it. I'm not suggesting people don't go to university. I'm suggesting we as educators take more responsibility to give people an even greater experience as they go through university. Everyone you speak to that's gone to university goes, oh yeah, but it taught me how to think and I made a lot of friends. Well, you can make a lot of friends and learn how to think anywhere. I think that, again, as educators, we have a high responsibility to become a lot more effective at what we do. So let me know what you think. How effective is education, both primary, high school and higher education, particularly in Australia, but maybe globally? Comment in the comments below. I look forward to chatting to you guys tomorrow. Sweet. Is that good?